our ASB president, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please remain standing for the national anthem played by OMS Youth Gated Village.
Jaden, I think you should tell the board a little bit about who you are and what your goals are and what you're doing with your music.
Alrighty then. Hi guys, my name is Jaden English. I'm 11 years old. I'm a 6th grader at Ole Miss. I play guitar. I do stuff outside of school in some rock concerts, and I do stuff with the jazz band and beginner band.
Thank you so much, Jaden. All right. Madison, if you want to come back up and turn it over to our board.
Okay, I will now hand it back to Director Thibodeau. Good evening, my name is Madison and I'm the ASB president at Ording Middle School. It's my pleasure to welcome Superintendent Hudson Bueller and the Ording School District Board of Directors to this evening. Tonight you will have the opportunity to learn more about what is happening this school year at Ole Miss. Now I would like to introduce our drumline, directed by Mr. Dewey.
Thank you, Madison. Well, again, welcome, school board. We are so happy to have you here. This is always one of my favorite nights of the year, just to be able to celebrate all the amazing work that's being done and our teachers and students. So this is just a fun night. Little shout out to our drum line. That changed this year. This year or last? No, I think this year. That's no longer a class. So these kids all up here are volunteering their time as a club. They come before school, and just the incredible program that Mr. Greenlee has built. They were chosen to play in front of our statewide music educators conference. So really, really incredible work that they've done. Outstanding from our drum line. Tonight, we're really going to start off by going over our OMS vision, beliefs, problem, practice, theory of action, and then really the rest of the evening is talking about our goals, our 4 goals around academic growth, community partnerships and connections, whole child, and student support systems. When we think about Orion Middle School, we really do root in our vision that we are a school that is a community where all students and staff are learning at high levels while feeling safe, seen, and valued. That is what we aspire to become. We actually changed that last word, value, because our leadership team thought that that really got at the essence of what we want every single individual in our community to feel is valued when they come into Orion Middle School and are here. Our staff also took some time to talk about what are our beliefs, what is it that we're rooted in, and we really landed on kind of these 10 as an entire staff. This isn't just teachers, not just leaders, but all of our staff. What are we rooted in, and what do we believe about students? And as you look on there, you'll see a lot of words about community, a lot about relationships, a lot about our belief in every single student's ability to grow with the right support. And that is our job, is identifying that support that they need and really making sure that we're preparing them. But it really is grounded in that sense of belonging for each and every student and each and every staff member. When we've we spend all summer as leaders really looking through what is our problem of practice? What is the data showing us about our students? And we do have some challenges. When we look over our data, like our state assessment data, we're still seeing that not enough students are at grade level, not enough students are to proficiency. But we also see some uneven performance across grade levels. So we see, sometimes we'll see our 6th graders are just flying and they're above state average, whereas our 8th graders may be struggling in a subject area. So we also see some gender disparities. So in math and science, our genders are not performing equally, and that's a real puzzle of practice for us. And then we also see low levels of self-efficacy. So students' belief in their own ability to learn, they have demonstrated on our Panorama survey anyway, low levels of that. So what that tells us is there's a need to strengthen consistency across our school, alignment, and then student confidence in learning. Students have to see that they are growing and they are learning in order to build that self-efficacy. Our theory of action really is rooted in teacher teams that if they establish those clear and rigorous goals that are aligned to core competencies and priority standards, and students understand what those goals are, what the success looks like, and then monitor progress along the way, then all students will experience that academic growth and improved self-efficacy. This is partnered, though, with, at the bottom there, these really high leverage, engaging, equitable instructional practices that honor the dignity and agency of every learner. That has to root in our work. When we think about agency, student agency, what does that look like in a classroom? And this has really been work that we've really kind of tried to refine over the course of this school year. What does that actually look like in a classroom when students have agency? What it looks like is that students understand the goal. Why am I learning this, and why is it important? When you talk to students, it's interesting. They will tell you, I want to know what I'm learning today and why it's important. That's very important to a middle school student. We also want to see students doing the thinking. So it can't be all teacher talking and no student talk, no student exploration, debating ideas. We want to see the students doing that. That is what prepares them for high school and beyond. is when they are doing the thinking and they are involved in that challenging work. And then finally, students own the learning. So they are using feedback to constantly improve in their learning. That is a really crucial element. And so students are setting goals. Students are monitoring their progress along the way towards those goals. And so that is what it looks like every day in the classroom, and we are doing this well. How do we do that? One of the ways we do that is something we started last year called the Falcon 5 High Leverage Practices. So in every lesson, when you start with this inclusive welcome that involves all students, when students understand the purpose of the learning, when students are given multiple opportunities to participate and respond within a lesson, they're given feedback or opportunities to reflect on their learning, and then finally, that really sealing in the learning with that intentional close. That is when those are powerful, high leverage teaching practices. And then this spring, we've really also focused on what is the role of teams and our PLC teams. So teacher teams have really worked on how do we involve students in these goals that we're setting? How do we involve students in understanding what the goals are? So they're helping to co-create, so in the process of helping teachers and students working together to define what does success look like on this assignment, on this goal. And that really is what the formative assessment process is all about, is a continual cycle of working together with students, making sure they understand the goals, why they're important, and then helping them see, this is my progress along the way, and this is what I need to do next. And so when we're doing all these things well, we will achieve our vision, and you will see that in classrooms every single day. So that brings us to goal number 1, which is around academic growth. We set a goal that was around iRating. So typically we'd set it around the Smart and Balanced assessment, but this year we used iRating. The first full year we've had this diagnostic tool. And we chose iReady because, well, for one thing, we see that if students are at grade level on iReady, they have a very good chance of being on standard on the Smarter Balanced assessment, which is our state assessment. But we get this result 3 times a year versus just the once a year with the Smarter Balanced assessment. So our baseline in the fall, we wanted to get in math and reading 50% of our students. That was our goal, to get 50% of our students to grade level. And so in reading, we started with the baseline of only 23% of students that were on grade level. When we most recently took it, it was up to 216 students. So we still have a ways to go toward our goal, but that was a 9% improvement. And then in math, we started at 16%, and then we were up to 22%. So we've increased in both areas of students on grade level, but we know we still have a ways to go. And we're going to be talking about, this is the point where we're going to be turning it over to our teachers to talk about all the things that they're doing to help students improve in these areas. So I think with that, I'm going to turn it over to, where am I? All right, Madden Sherman is up.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. I'm Madden, the Vice President of 8th grade. I'm going to turn it over to our teachers to discuss the ways they are putting our theory of action into action in support of our school-wide goals. First up is Ms. Hicken to talk about goal setting in ELA.
Thank you. I could get Grace and Nathan up here as well. So, Mr. Collins did a great segue into what I'm going to talk about today, because this is what my students have been doing in my classroom, and it's been really impressive to see their commitment to this process. Because I can do whatever I'm going to do, but if they're the ones that need to be invested, right? And so to see them so invested and working hard and reflecting in that process has been really powerful. So they're going to talk about a couple of our priority standards, and those are things that, shout out to Dr. Lee for kind of really helping us focus in on these core standards that if they can develop these, that's the foundation they're going to be building on every single year with these skills. So Grace is going to talk about early unit we had about reading The Giver and writing some evidence paragraphs.
Hi, my name is Grace Mossett. I am in 7th grade and I attend Orion Middle School. And my experience in trying to make an evidence paragraph was very intense. I felt like really overwhelmed
especially with the help of Mrs. Higgins and the teachers. There to help give examples, definitions, and support to who I was, to what I was questioning about and wondering about, which helped me understand a lot and help increase my learning and education.
Thank you. And Nathan's going to talk about a unit we had later in the year where they had to read a lot of different informational texts and write summaries. They got there. It took a while, but they got there.
I'm Nathan, and the goal set really helped me because it showed me how I could improve in different things about writing a summary, and it also it helped me with tracking how I've been doing with all the work that in class, and it's also like telling me how I can improve in different ways about how like writing a summary, like using my own words, and not like using the text that much.
So this is just a snapshot at the top of our scope and sequence, the second and third units of the year, just to kind of show you that work, that we have these priority standards that build, and that doesn't mean we're ignoring the rest of the standards, right? We're still teaching them, but we know that citing text evidence, that's what they're going to set their goal in, that's what they're going to focus on, that's what they're going to track and progress in, while we determine the theme, which was our priority standard the unit before, analyze elements of a story, use context clues. So we're still doing all of those things, but our goal setting and our focus is on those things that are most going to influence them as they continue to advance in their academics and life.
Thank you, Ms. Hicken. Now Ms. Huizinga will talk about social studies has supported our work with the core competencies.
Thank you, Madden. Mr. Collins. All right, I'm Emma Huizinga. I teach 7th grade history here. I'm also this Social Studies PLC team lead, and I'm here with my good friend, Harper Posnick, who's also in 7th grade, and I'm briefly going to talk real quick, and then Harper's going to kind of explain some of the benefits of the work we've done as a social studies. So what we did is starting in August was the ELA team met the year prior, and they found some core competencies that were essential. And then in August when we met as a history department, what we did is we went to our scope and sequence. So these are the core units that we have and the standards in history that we teach, and we wanted to find alignment with math, believe it or not, there's some history connections, and with ELA, and where we could share that burden of helping our students improve, and where those core competencies are identified in our own scopes and sequences. So we spent some time doing that and put those on our scopes, and really what we found was there were two main areas of influence. So our first main area of influence was on informational reading, that core competency around communicating what the text means, understanding the text, and then that also leads to the writing, which is to use writing to share ideas and use evidence to support that. So once we found those two main areas of impact where we could use our time in history to support ELA and math, we used to, for evidence paragraphs specifically, we used to call them RACE paragraphs. That was an acronym that we used. And we met and we're like, okay, in ELA, in history, they say RACE. Some teachers use the acronym CER, claim evidence reasoning. Science uses CER. And so we're like, okay, let's just simplify it because every student should experience the same thing. If we all want them to use evidence and explain their evidence, how their evidence supports the claim, it should be the same no matter the discipline. And so we decided, you know what, CER just seems to label it out so much clearer. And so we decided as an entire school, even math, health is using CER, everyone's using claim evidence reasoning and language around it. And then we decided, okay, so that helps with the writing portion. So then the reading portion is how they're able to access the information when they're reading informational text. What are those key details? How can they use that to support a claim later on when they have
have to demonstrate their understanding. So we created common protocols for annotating the text. And these protocols for CER were developed with the science department. What templates are you using? So students are still using the same templates, and they're able to, again, it translates from class to class to class to help reinforce what we're looking for and also to grow their learning with goals set in ELA. Luckily, Miss Aiken and I are on a team together, and so we're able to communicate. Every social studies PLC except one has an ELA teacher, so we're really sharing that burden and working together. And so, Harper here I have a couple questions for you, Harper. Okay, and that first question, right, is how does CER, that acronym, help you in your writing and history class?
CER helps me find evidence better and know how to find it. It helps me track what I'm actually writing about. I feel like I've gotten better writing and realizing how to write using the evidence.
Good job. And is it more helpful than race? Is it better?
Yeah, I'd say so because race is going over what you already know, and CER focuses on evidence and helps you know how to get it and where it is in the writing.
Yeah, good. And how is using CER and annotating in history and ELA help you?
You and Miss Anderson use the same colors so that I know what I am writing, and it helps me understand where I mess up and I can fix it. My writing has gotten better from this. Annotating the text in all my classes helps me find the more important parts in the writing, so it makes it easier to write.
Awesome, thank you, Harper. Quick shout out to Harper. Harper has grown so much in her writing this year. She's one of my top writers, and I truly believe it's because of this common protocol that we share and just that feedback process that we're engaged in all competencies and classes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Huizinga. Now Ms. Sanders and Ms. Niederle will talk about the instructional strategies we have used to increase engagement in math.
Hey, it's Miss Niederle, Emily Niederle's Jen Sanders, and we kind of took on Building Thinking's classrooms last year by Peter Liljedahl. Yeah, and that requires vertical, non-permanent spaces. So you have students standing up to do math, moving around the room, showing their work for all to see. It's a little bit different. And these are some of the expectations that Building Thinking's classrooms has the students doing. They get random groups so they don't know who they're working with for the day. One marker to share. They record the task on the board so you see that thinking. They have to collaborate with their team, with their group, working together. And we don't get to erase other work. Like, all work is valuable, so we can learn from everything that we see up there. So these are some of the expectations.
Each classroom has 10 groups, and there's about 3 kids per group, depending on how many classes. I do have a group of 4 because I have 31 kids in the class. And they're all working together, helping each other out. Anything you want to back up and talk a little bit about how it works in our class?
Yeah, we have pictures of it happening. There's some, this is the 6th grade classes, some work that we're just seeing up on the boards.
And Nathan just got thrown under the bus on this because I was like, oh, we actually did an activity today on building thinking classrooms with you. So how about being up in the classroom with the whiteboards?
The boards?
Yep.
It really helps me socialize and helps me talk with my peers. It makes us have different ideas of how different minds talk with each other, and it helps us like problem solve with different people and helps us like communicate more often. And with the one marker thing, it makes the people that are telling them what the person with the marker does. It tells them how to more write with different ideas, basically.
And now, just like all the other subjects, we actually got some time this year, not just in the before school started, but also we took a day, 2 days, where we worked together and created our scope and sequence and looked at what our priorities Bernie Sanders were going to be and how it aligns to the IM curriculum. And then we went through lesson by lesson, which lessons work really well for those, which lessons can we shrink down, which lessons can we eliminate because it's already blended into some other ones. So we're really focusing on our core competency standards while still hitting everything else.
No, you said it better. You did good.
All right, so that's it for us.
Thank you, Ms. Sanders and Ms. Niederly. Now Ms. Mansonides will talk about goal setting in science and our new Amplified Science curriculum.
Hi, good evening. I'm Sarah Mansonides. I teach 8th grade science. This year is our first year with our new adopted curriculum, Amplified Science. In this curriculum, the kids are working on real-world-based story problems. And so this unit, we are working on the collapse of a biodome, which is modeled after the Biosphere 2 in the early 90s that different scientists went in and were hoping to have it closed for 100 years, and it failed. And so in science right now, we are looking at a similar situation, and the kids are trying to figure out, why did the biodome collapse? What happened? What they're really learning is the carbon cycle, how living organisms work together, photosynthesis, and cellular respiration. In this program, however, they're doing research, they're running investigations, they're looking at online simulations, and they're collecting data. This curriculum is also really heavily focused on literacy, so that reading and writing that they're doing in ELA and in social studies and writing CERs is also in science as well. The students are able to then set goals as we go through the unit. What we found this year is that the kids are kind of transitioning into this new style of science, and they were struggling to see, why is this activity we're doing important, and how does it go to the bigger picture? So what I decided to do was teach the students how to write SMART goals. So they are writing specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals for each chapter. Before we start the chapter, the kids know, here's how I'm going to be assessed at the end of the unit. How am I going to get there? We modeled this through the first chapter of the unit, and then students wrote their own goals, and they went through and figured out, what is something I need to work on? What is that going to look like for me? And how am I going to achieve that by the end date, which they know before we start. After the lesson, they do a progress check. How did I do today? What was my effort? What did I learn? Am I ready to do the end task? Am I ready to perform? And if not, what do I need help with? So that daily reflection as we go through has really helped the students. And then at the end of each chapter, the kids do a final reflection. And then Madison Simpson is here as well. She's one of my wonderful science students, and she's going to tell you a little bit about what this process looks like from the student perspective.
Thank you. Like she said, I'm Maddie, and our SMART goals, we do them in science, and I think they're really helpful to understand what we're doing in our lessons and what we're really learning about. And I really enjoy it, as she was saying, the progress checks at the middle and the end, because I feel like it brings a really good follow-up to like that other goal-setting formats don't really have. And yeah, I just think, honestly, it's really simple too. We don't write a lot for it. We just set our goals, like explain like our time frame and what we're doing really, and then follow-ups are just basically how are you doing. And yeah, I think it's just a great way to understand your learning and work towards your goals.
Thank you. I just wanted to add really quick too, the kids have a lot of flexibility in their goal writing. Some are writing academic goals, a little bit more rigorous academic goals. Other students are working on maybe some more habits. I'm working on taking my notes. I'm working on making annotations, while other kids are working at a little bit higher level, and they have the freedom to, I want to make sure that I have 3 pieces of evidence. I want to make sure that I'm able to connect my reasoning from the article back into the evidence from the sim. So there's a lot of flexibility. I'm really proud of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mansonides. I will now turn it over to our Assistant Principal, Ms. Cronin, to talk about our goal around community partnerships and connections.
Thank you so much. Welcome, and it's nice to see you guys again. I'm Danielle Cronin. I'm the Assistant Principal here at Gordon Middle School. First year here, input. They felt like most of the information was sent directly one way. And so we really want to make sure that we are incorporating our community and family members in the decisions that we make in our school every day. So these are some of the different ways that we have done that. Oh no. Okay, so we have created our Falcon Family Outreach. We've had 2 meetings thus far. Our last meeting, we actually had an opportunity to discuss a lot about communication systems. We talked about the difficulty that parents have with the multiple different types of systems that we use, such as Skyward, Parent, Square, all of those things. Parents were able to give us some information on things that would help them, such as screenshot tutorials. So one of the things that we're going to be looking at over the summer is creating slideshows that help parents navigate our multiple different systems and then put that together on like a parent hub. So they have quick links of tutorials of how to access their kids' grades, how to access their sports, how do we get our kids involved in clubs. So that is one of our big focuses with our family outreach. Another way that we are reaching out with community members and families is our student-led conferences. So our fall conferences, we had almost 400 families out of close to 700. So we had a really good turnout. However, we're looking to improve that for the spring. So we have some lofty goals. We want to definitely get it to that over 400. We want to get close to that 500 mark. So when we're doing student-led conferences, our students are the ones that are actually presenting the work to the families. This gives the families an opportunity to put that accountability piece on the students and ask, what are you doing? What is your best work? What's your favorite subject? What are you struggling the most with? And this also gives the parents a time to connect with the teachers too and ask any questions so that they can get the best support for their students. Next, we are sending out your valued postcards. So these are our Falcon postcards that our staff members at each of our staff meetings, our staff members go ahead and select any of the students in this school. It does not matter if they are their own students or not. They select any student that they have noticed some kind of positive in, and we are just sharing the positive out to those families. Okay, we have an example. This is a teacher example of an email that was sent. I believe, yes. So this one was, let's see. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. So this one, the whole key for this one was that one of the things that we had asked our staff members to do when we were saying there's one-way communication, there's not an opportunity for parents to discuss what it is that they want to hear or see from us. And so we asked our staff members to add that input piece. Add just a piece that says, what do you think about this? How can we partner with your family and your child? And so this is actually an example of one of the emails that one of our staff members sent. And we just thought that this really just highlights what it is that we're trying to elicit here, which is we want that feedback from families. Goal number 3. Okay, we're gonna move on. So goal number 3 is working on the whole child. So this is, some of the parts that we're working on is our SEL. We are also working on our positive behavior systems. So our SEL, or our social emotional learning that we're working on, is we use the curriculum Second Step. And Second Step is the curriculum that we have for all the social emotional learning, but then they also go into cyber, all of the electronic technology safety. Actually, I believe that was something that they were just working on today in one of their classes. So with their advisory, they have advisory once a week, and they work on SEL stuff so that they can work on coping strategies and being safe. Okay, so we have our positive behavior recognition system, and I'm sure you guys all know this is my baby this year. We are really focused on just elevating the positives, increasing the positive, the 10 to 1. We want 10 to 1 for every one negative that you have, you better have 10 positives to back that up. And so part of that is recognizing our students with the Falcon tickets. So the Falcon tickets are kind of like the I saw that. I gotcha. You were being awesome. You were being responsible. You were being safe. And you were being kind. So with this, we actually have our students run the student store during lunches. The students that run this are our students from our business class. So our business students come here, they run it during lunches, and then at the end of the day, on Fridays, they also open up the what used to be the ASB window, and that also becomes their last opportunity on Fridays to purchase items from their store. Now, my favorite thing is that the things that the students are purchasing right now, positive emails home, positive phone calls home. That's all they want. And they give them to the teachers, and they're getting those positives. So we're really increasing the positive communication home as well. Okay, Falcon Council. Falcon Council is our student principal advisory group that was nominated by teachers. So all the teachers just put together a list of students that they thought would be excellent voices. The voice of what direction we need to go with our school. So on that, we're going to have Emery.
Thank you, Ms. Cronin. Hello, everyone. I'm glad you're all here today. My name is Emery Hernandez, and I'm a 7th grader. I'm here to talk about Falcon Council and the impact it has had on students at our school. Falcon Council provides an opportunity for students to express their ideas and opinions. It gives us a voice and allows us to work together to make our school a better place by addressing issues that matter to us. What I like most about Falcon Council is being able to communicate with my peers and share ideas. It really helps students feel heard and encouraged. Overall, Falcon Council has helped me grow and given me a chance to represent my classmates and contribute to positive changes in my school.
Okay, thank you. Now Ms. Aller will talk about our counselors and about how our counselors have used small groups to build self-efficacy in students.
Hello, my name is Jessica Aller. I'm one of the school counselors here at Ording Middle School. This year we're focusing our goals along self-efficacy. In August I did a deep data dive into Panorama Student Survey and recognized the past 4 years self-efficacy has been the lowest scoring category. So we decided to focus our goals on self-efficacy. So in our small groups, I just finished a 4-week group with 7th graders, and before that I did a 6-week group with 8th graders. We focus on learning what self-efficacy is, and we defined it as our belief in our ability to achieve a goal, and ways we can grow our self-efficacy, and how we can encourage others to do that as well. One of the activities that we did was a juggling activity, where we watched a tutorial on how to juggle, and then we had our students try it out. One student can juggle at a time, and the observers were only allowed to offer encouragement, or if they were going to provide feedback, they could only tell the juggler what the things they were doing right. So we really focused on encouragement and positive feedback. We actually did have a student in our group who knew how to juggle, so she did not tell us that beforehand. So out of this group, out of the two, in our pre and post surveys, there has been an increase in self-efficacy, self-reports. So students are believing in themselves, setting smaller goals, and asking for help when it's needed.
Thank you, Ms. Aller. Now Ms. Reynolds will talk about how our students have set personal goals to build self-efficacy.
Hi, I'm Ms. Reynolds. I'm one of the teachers at the middle school, and my buddy Shabeo has joined me. I promised him we would just do question and answer, so he doesn't have to stand up here as long. So, what have we been working on in my class?
My goals.
And you know what? when we meet on Fridays, what is something that, what do we work through?
Our goals.
And we revisit what happened during your,
Period.
and then we talk about what you do very,
Softly.
yeah, what you do well. We talk about what you do well, and then we identify areas where you're having
Trouble.
And what's a goal that we have picked to work on?
Not cussing.
And so what was the strategy that we decided you were going to do to help you with that?
Don't swear.
But also you can use another
Word.
Yep, substitute it with another word, because sometimes that's a hard habit to break. So how do you feel about what you're doing?
Good.
Yeah. You did really well. You were brave. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reynolds. Now I will turn it over to Mr. Collins.
Thank you, Madison. One other thing I wanted to point out with our self-efficacy goal, so that is measured through Panorama, and we've had some struggles with seeing growth in that. It's a survey students take 3 times a year, and they never really get feedback on what that is or where the scores are. So finally, we worked with Dr. Lee's office and the amazing Miss Sarah Mendenhall, and they were able to give us the student scores in PDFs. So we had to print out almost 700 scores, distribute those and sort them by advisory. But for this spring student-led conference, students are actually going to get a chance to look at those scores and then determine what is an area I want to focus on and grow on. And it gives them some tips. Try this to work on self-efficacy. Try this to work on growth mindset. And so we think that that could be a powerful approach to getting those scores up around Panorama, because it'll give more meaning to students for those results. Now I'm going to talk, one other thing I want to talk about with Whole Child and self-efficacy is our participation. Last year, we have a goal that every single student participates in a sport, music group, or a club. And last year we had 73% of our students doing that, 476 students. When any student, we want to remove barriers for any student who wants to participate. And so we have done everything possible. If we have to get support for that student to be part of part of a club or part of a sport, we will do that for them. And so we've really had just it's an incredible way to help students be connected and also build their self-efficacy in other ways, because they see themselves learning new things in a sport or a music program or a club. So we're really proud of that. And then our final goals around student support systems. Again, we set this around iReady. We wanted 75% or more of our students within 2 grade levels of proficiency, according to iReady. So in baseline, in reading, 54% of our students were within 2 grade levels. At the winter, we were at 65%. So we made 11% growth in reading, and that goal of 75% is attainable. And that really is just, we want to get students within 2 grade levels, because then the next year we can get them even closer to grade level proficiency. And then in math, we went from 61% of students within 2 grade levels to 67%. So we're seeing growth in both areas, and we do think that that 75% within 2 is attainable this year. And one of our main strategies to do that is around iReady. We've devoted 2 advisory periods a week to having all students working on iReady MyPath. And this really is targeted practice lessons for students based on their diagnostic scores. So on Tuesdays, they do math lessons. On Wednesdays, they do reading lessons for 25 minutes each time. And we track that. We have what are called the iReady All-Stars. And we shout out those students who are really crushing it. We have students who've done passed over 100 lessons. And so we're really excited about that. And I am going to introduce one of our iReady All-Stars, who is Miss Evelyn Crouch.
Hi, I'm Evelyn Crouch.
I think this was due to two things. The first was that I get tutoring from my tutor, Miss Lissa, twice a week. I also had Mr. Lance, Miss McDonald, and Miss Wright in my ELA class first quarter. I get help in reading class from Miss Smith. All of this has improved my decoding skills and fluency. The second factor was that my first test had no one reading to me. My second test did. That helped my comprehension, my dyslexia performs auditory learning. It's a part of my accommodations. It's important that kids like me get good intervention to help improve their skills. To get them closer to grade level, I started at a kindergarten grade level in 4th grade, and I have improved to being on grade level now. That's my hard work and the progress that the program that Miss Lissa used to teach me.
Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, she is one of our Priority All-Stars. Like I said, we shout them out. We really celebrate them. They have a chance to earn prizes. We have pizza parties for those students who are really cruising with that. And it's been a great program. Great support for us. And then another support for extra support for students is this just started very recently, is our after-school math club. So Miss Niederle is going to talk about that.
Hey, I teach 6th grade math here, and you guys met me before, and Evelyn, that was awesome, great work. She's in my math class, and just a stellar performer in there too. Math club, Mr. Scott and I were talking in our PLCs for a couple of weeks. We want to start a math club, but neither one of us just did it. And then, wouldn't you know, the high school reached out and said, hey, our National Honor Society students really need some hours, and they said they want to work with some middle school students. Perfect timing, great way to partner, and we ended up just a few weeks ago getting this ball rolling where we have high school students coming in, working with our middle school students while Mr. Scott and I are there. And so we get to work with our students, each other's students, while we also get to see our students growing with these high schoolers there. It's been an amazing program already. Kids are engaged, kids are learning in so many different ways, and what I love most about this is I can only teach the way I teach, right? But then I get to hear a high school student teach one of my students in a different way, and I can take that into the classroom. So it's been a really great learning experience for me as well as for everybody else in the class. So.
Thanks so much, Ms. Niederle. That really wraps up our presentation, but I know sometimes you all have questions. I would like to shout out Director Fisher. This is your first time as a director at Harding Middle School, so welcome. And we miss Director Madigan, or sorry, not Director Madigan, Director Kinson is not here this evening. We miss her because we know that she loves the middle school, she always says, and we like that. And so we miss her tonight. But do you have any questions for us before we wrap up?
We always have questions. So, I got a few. First, so proud of our student performers. National Anthem, loved it. Our drum line continues to just wow us. You feel that in your heart when they're playing, and so I love that. And their focus was so intense. You could tell they're passionate about what they're doing. mentioned a communication hub, some of the feedback from your community was the need for some kind of communication hub, and I've got two 13-year kids. I've lived that complexity, and so you don't have to answer now, but I'm wondering what the vision is.
That's really
for that.
summer work,
Okay,
and
perfect.
we have a new. I think it's especially important. So the jump from 5th to 6th grade is the first time Skyward really means anything because in grades. And next year we're jumping to cumulative. And so I think streamlining, because a lot of teachers are still communicating through Skyward, but in elementary school they're used to Parent Square. So we've tried to get more and more teachers on board with Parent Square this year. I think they're finding success with that. So that'll be our main way of communicating with families going forward. But then cumulative, it'll be interesting to see what those tools look like. So those are the two main areas. But then they have Google Classroom that kids have, and they've expressed like, hey, I have all these things. So we're going to work on that this summer to try to figure out what that looks like.
Yeah, I imagine it'll be complex during the conversation, so I wish you luck. But I'll be kind of listening in to see how you solve for that.
Thank you.
And also, I'm going to embrace the goal to not cuss. I'm with you. Good goal. We'll share that. Yeah. Support. Any questions from you?
I just have a comment. Like, you kids that got up and spoke, you were better than a lot of adults. So, just so you know, you spoke very well and with a lot of confidence. And I see some future leaders sitting in this room right now because you guys took control of what you were saying and we understood everything you said. So, very good job. You did a great job. They called you out like you did great, man. You answered some really good questions. So keep it up. I think you're going to be a speaker someday. Yeah.
I just wanted to say thank you to all the parents and the students and the teachers for sharing your valuable time with us and sharing your kids with us and your energy and your concerns for education, which is why I'm really very glad that you're talking about the communication aspect because the last soccer game I heard a friend of mine who's also a teacher at OES talking about how difficult it is for them to navigate the system. And I thought, oh, that's kind of scary because they all can use it. So that's, I was going to bring that up anyway, so you beat me to it. Good job. Somebody needs to let Panorama know that their system ought to be available to the students, the data. I mean, isn't that the whole purpose?
We actually did let them know. That was feedback we gave them. Same with iReady. iReady gives all this amazing data that we print out and give to families because we think it's valuable. But why isn't that available to students at any time? I don't understand it.
I mean, isn't that what the purpose of the system is for the students to learn? So I'm glad that you already did that. And, once again, the CER, thank you for using common language in all the different classes. That makes such a difference because I'm sorry, but you can give evidence in math, you can give it in science, you can give it in language arts. You can give it when you're working to show that you're doing your job. It's all the same thing, and it really helps everybody when you're on the same page, so that they don't have to spend a lot of time wondering what you're talking about. I have to say, Shabelle, thank you. Thank you. I took a picture for David. Good job.
Yeah, I just want to say great job, students, getting up and doing this. That's huge, right? I mean, everyone's nervous talking in front of people, and heck, us as a school board, sometimes we don't want to do that either, right? So it takes a lot, and keep doing it, right? I loved hearing this academics club, right? That kind of shines some light on that the high school kids were coming down and that they're working with the middle school and with also building rapport. So when these 8th graders get to high school, guess what? Now they know people over there, and that interaction is going to be huge at that point. So, and then back to the SMART goals. Yeah, I'm a manager in my job, day job, and yeah, that's just, those are critical. That and I'm glad they implemented that and started going down there.
One more thing, I love the tutorials for parents. Love it, because I sat in that office at the high school, and that was one of the biggest frustrations I think that we saw was parents couldn't navigate, they didn't understand it, which I understood completely. I worked there and I had trouble sometimes understanding it. So to help them get to what they need, the information they need, it is a tutorial. That is fantastic. Are students going to help with that?
Going to be a part of that. That has not actually been decided. This actually came out because the conversation with the families and then my own frustration trying to learn a new system coming from another district and not having, like, it was like an 800-page tutorial that I was not going to be able to make it through. And I just thought, like, this is what I need. So when the parents said, this is my problem, I thought, this is what you need. So we're just going to try and do some screenshots and then put it together in a Google slideshow and upload it to the link on Parent Square so all families have access to it all the time.
Yeah, and the thing I think I'll add about that is that really did come out of those in-person conversations with families. Like, we give surveys and hear things, but that really comes through when you're human-to-human talking in those conversations. So that's been really rich for us.
And it's easy to say to somebody, oh, it's all on, you know, here's it, all the information is there. It's another thing to go look for it, right? And it's hard. So I love that. That's awesome. I'm going to be interested to see how it actually works and if you get some good feedback.
Thank you. Well, before I think you have to close the meeting, correct? I really want to give a huge shout out to our teachers, first of all, for giving up. It's been a long week and we're almost to spring break. So a huge round of applause for our teachers coming out. And of course, Ms. Cronin and I could not be prouder of our students for the amazing job you did tonight. And your parents, we thank you for getting them here. I'm sure you are so proud of your students. And that's why I said this is one of my favorite nights of the year, because it's just a celebration of all the cool things that are happening. It really makes you understand all the cool things that our students and teachers are doing. So huge, another round of applause for our amazing students.